Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Historical Gamer once again, and today I'm going to be playing Order of Battle Pacific U.S. Marines. It's the latest expansion to have come out for Order of Battle, the turn-based World War II game. In this particular release, players are allowed to play as mainly the U.S. Marines in the island hopping campaign from 1942 to 1945. Sort of the historical image of World War II in the Pacific is U.S. Marines landing on numerous different Japanese-held islands and taking tremendous losses and inflicting tremendous losses in a bloody and gruesome campaign against the Japanese as the Americans progress inevitably closer to the Japanese home islands. So you can see here, we've played Morning Sun before. They had that interesting logo for the Chinese campaign, the Imperial Japanese and the Pacific Allies campaign for the entire war with the original release. And then you can see here that U.S. Marines is added as well with the logo of the United States Marine Corps. So you can see here, this takes place after the naval battles of Coral Sea and Midway. The U.S. have decided to take back the initiative in the Pacific Theater. As a vital part of this expeditionary force, the Marine Corps is expected to lead the way. The Army tended to move more toward the sort of southwest Pacific, I guess, and the Navy tended to move more through the Central Pacific, although the Marines were really involved throughout. It was just a more heavily Army-based after Guadalcanal, which was, obviously Marines. But then the march up New Guinea had a much heavier Army contingent, while the Marines moved more through the Central Pacific Islands. But anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll launch this campaign here, and we'll see where we start. Semper Fi, the U.S. Marine Corps is America's amphibious spearhead, tasked to assault and capture enemy-held islands and coastlines. Fresh from military training and carrying only limited supplies, the Marines are now en route to the Japanese outpost of Guadalcanal. So it looks like this will probably be a different Guadalcanal scenario than you play in the main game, because there is a Guadalcanal scenario there where this focuses mainly on the Marines. You can see here Solomon Islands, August 1942. Earlier this year, the Japanese have established a harbor and seaplane base on Gavatu, Tambago, and Tuilagi. I can't pronounce any of these names. Our planned invasion of Guadalcanal, 17 miles to the south, requires the liberation of these islands. So it looks like we'll probably land on Tuilagi first, I'm guessing, just based on what it's saying here. We'll go ahead. Let's see, no specializations. We'll play as Colonel, mid-level difficulty, and we'll go ahead and start the scenario. So, Order of Battle Pacific U.S. Marines is going to be basically a scenario pack based on everything I've seen. There's new types of units, I believe, that kind of focus more on the Marines, but really it's more of just a scenario pack involving Marine-specific scenarios and new scenario design. But if that's something where you wanted a more American and more Marine-focused game, then obviously it's something that could have a lot of appeal to you. You can see here the U.S. Expeditionary Force has arrived on schedule and due to bad weather, undetected by the Japanese. After splitting forces in two, our group is tasked with the assault on Tuilagi and Gavutu Tanamingo. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce that. Because it is some distance away from the Japanese bases and settlements, the southern half of Tuilagi is expected to be the least defended. This will be the preferred landing zone on the island. To the east of Tuilagi lays the island group of Gavutu. I should stop trying to pronounce that. The Japanese have constructed a seaplane base here and may have a sizable garrison defending it. The operation is the first real test for the Marine Corps, and we're on a tight deadline. Once both islands have been secured, our troops will immediately be transferred to the support of the invasion of Guadalcanal. So yeah, this is definitely a new scenario here. You can see here the Marine Corps in the United States. So looks like there's U.S. forces and then there's Marine Corps forces. Our primary objectives in this scenario are take all flag points on Tuilagi Island and clear Gavutu and this other island, destroy enemy float planes in 9 turns, and complete mission in 30 turns. Okay, so this is kind of a larger scenario, surprisingly. It does look like we get to place our forces. Let's see here. Tuilagi's a little bit bigger. It looks like it's got a coastal road on the north. I'm going to guess based on its size, there's more Japanese units there. So we'll go ahead and put 1 unit there. We only get 3 Marines. Ugh. Supply ship. Marine Raiders. I don't want to have to like land troops and then re-embark them. That'd be kind of annoying. I wonder if I can purchase any more units. Let's see here. How much money do I have? No. Yes, Marines start with 500. Okay, so... oh, we can buy regular U.S. infantry as well. But we're going to go with Marines. Doesn't really matter if they have... The interesting thing is with these, for the American scenarios, there's less of a need to focus on or tracked vehicles, if you will. So, like, you know, you don't need to worry about having vehicles that can carry troops over long distances, which in the Japanese version of the game is very different because you may have a substantial need for troops that can... what am I trying to say? Troops that can transit long distances. At least in the initial scenarios, most of these are going to be smaller islands, I would imagine, although maybe some of the later missions, the island is scaled up. So tracked vehicles are much less important because you're covering smaller distances. We'll go ahead and, so you don't have to necessarily waste money on like half tracks and things like that is where I'm coming from. Okay, so we did all that. We may want to, can we purchase any ships? Doesn't look like we can do that. Tactical bombers? I don't know where they'd fly from. Do we have any bases around here? Doesn't look like we have any air bases. So, where are they going to fly from? I suppose they could fly off this carrier here, but it doesn't look like it lets me deploy them down there. That's just because I haven't bought them. They're strategic bombers, and Mitchell's not as strategic. Anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll deploy. This supply ship needs to be somewhere. So there's this one island here. And this island here. So there's 2 islands. I'm guessing we're going to need more troops in the north, actually. I think 1 supply ship's enough in the south. So we'll do that. We'll buy 1 more unit. Oh, wait, no, we don't have enough manpower to do that. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and deploy. End deployment phase. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and land our troops kind of far away from anything. But we'll go ahead and land them there. We'll bring our supply ships up to provide supply. I'm going to expect a Japanese air raid because I do believe historically Japan hit these forces somewhat heavily with air raids. I think. And then we'll go ahead and get these guys going. It looks like the main naval forces we don't control. So that's all of our options, I believe. Oh, we do control the F4F Wildcat over here. Oh, we do control the carrier, too. We control the USS Wasp. But we don't control these guys. Okay. Anyway, turn 1 done. Japanese team is thinking, and don't do anything. Okay. So, we've landed our troops here. We've got our supply convoy, or supply. Here, we're going to move our troops inland a bit. Take a lot of turns and disrupt them a bit, but... Anyway, so we're going to move that way. Tuilagi looks like it'll probably be difficult to clear. There's a lot of troops there. Why aren't these guys... Oh, raiders can't take and hold ground. Crap. Okay. I probably should fly my fighter over to cover our supply ships in the event of a Japanese air raid. That might make more sense. So, I'll do that after this turn. Hopefully Japan doesn't fly any aircraft in and torpedo bomb me. You can see here the Japanese are attacking our Marines in the jungles, and our Marines aren't doing very well. Lovely. And these guys are out of supply. Awesome. Second wave. Fresh manpower and equipment have arrived to support the deployment of additional forces. Alright. Let's have these guys link up. And these guys can go attack the Japanese. There you go. What? They lost 3 and did no damage. Okay. Lovely. We'll fly these guys over here to Tuilagi. We've got more supply ships over here at risk. we've now cut the Japanese island of Tuilagi in two. Awesome. Okay. Of course, we are at risk of getting our troops cut off, but hey. It is what it is. Where are our extra troops? Where are they? It says additional troops have arrived. Oh, I guess we can deploy more troops. That's what it's saying. So we can purchase more troops with the money that we do have. Can we buy tanks? Tanks might be useful in this. We'll land tanks on the northern end of this island. Continue. Okay, so the Japanese continue to attack our troops, and our troops continue to do nothing against them, because, hey, the Japanese are great at fighting in jungles, and that's definitely true. And our troops are under artillery fire, even better. So our Marines are not doing so swell at the moment. Oh, cool. I didn't realize that Marine Raiders have a special type of attack. Okay, so we're going to move our tanks in here. Probably need to move these guys east to make sure they have supplies when they come ashore. Where's our fighter bombers? Let's see here. Well, they're not fighter bombers, they're just fighters, but maybe they can... Well, they can't even make it to this bunker. Okay, so let's see here. They're going to attack these Japanese troops, and do they lose worse than they get? No, even, 2-2. Okay. So our supply attempt to attack on the north of Tuilagi. Meanwhile, other troops are moving here on the south of Tuilagi. Supply ships are remaining in place. And... Marines don't do well in the jungle at the moment. The Japanese have all the jungle fighting experience, it seems. Okay. So Tuilagi definitely has more troops on it than our intelligence speculated. Meanwhile, our troops are taking pretty heavy casualties here being attacked by the Japanese. The Japanese are dug in. We could really use some naval gunfire support at this point, but... Final wave. All remaining reserves have been deployed. Okay. Or the Japanese may come in and try cut these guys off. So we'll see what happens there. Sometimes I just move supply ships around for the heck of it so I can not have to worry about guys not being in full supply. Oh my goodness. Machine gun foxhole. And our tanks are going to be out of supply. Lovely. So we landed our tanks. Now it looks like the enemies have a machine gun foxhole here. Oh, we can... Okay, we can attack these guys and we'll get support from our tanks while they still have supply. So we'll do that. They do keep supply in the initial landing phase. So we'll do that. We lose a few casualties. I don't really care. Sneak attack. Damage an enemy unit without taking damage in return. That's interesting. I didn't know you could do a sneak attack, but hey, that's cool. Move the carrier over here. And I think we need to purchase maybe some armor for over here. I don't know how effective it'll be, but it didn't look like we had much in the way of artillery options, so it might make more sense to bring in some armor then. Enemy flak guns. Man, these Marines are going to get all killed. Because they can't get any damage on these Japanese. Like, what the hell? Stupid jungle fighting. Even out-of-supply tanks are more devastating against the Japanese than our infantry, which apparently suck. But it's good to know that we can at least damage them somewhat. So the armor here on this island is going to really help turn things around, it looks like, at least versus these fixed fortifications, which we've not been doing well versus, and we've just been losing casualties. So I think purchasing that armored unit was probably wise over here. And then on the north end of Tuilagi, it looks like our troops are starting to have some effect against these Japanese, although I am worried about troops from this other corner coming down and maybe cutting us off. And actually, the Japanese infantry that are in the open are far inferior, it appears, to our own troops. So, some learnings here that avoid dug-in Japanese troops in the jungle. That makes sense. And, yeah. Let's see here. Still haven't seen any Japanese aircraft yet. But I do remember, I thought Tuilagi, the Japanese, did launch an air attack against the American forces, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. Okay, end of turn. And we'll see what the Japanese do now. Oh, nice, I didn't realize that by landing, okay, so I'll explain that in a second here. It may have done something very sound tactically without realizing it. But I'm okay with that. Okay, so what I did here is by landing this armor unit here on the corner of Tembigo Island and then linking it up with our infantry here, we actually cut these 4 Japanese units dug in the jungle off from their base of supply, because if you hit the center or the space bar, you see supplies generated by these 2 Japanese bases, but there's no Japanese bases on the southern corner of the island. So basically we split the island in 2, and then we cut a large percentage of the Japanese forces on this island and dug in on these jungle hexes off from their base of supply, because this base generates 10 and this base generates 10. So as a result of my genius tactics that I wasn't really paying attention, I have cut off the most powerful, almost certainly the most powerful element of the Japanese military on this island, and that should aid me in destroying them. Should. It may take some time, however, because the only unit I have that seems to be able to attack the Japanese with any effect is my armor. But hopefully our raiders can do something as well once we bring them back. So we just destroyed 1 Japanese unit. We destroyed their machine gun emplacement, and now we've got a few more to deal with here on the corner, but hopefully we can reduce them pretty quickly now. Meanwhile, on the other corner of the island, again, we're facing some Japanese troops that are not dug in. They're in a base hex that's in more open, and actually they appear to be Korean workers, so they appear to be more like engineers and less soldiers, so that's probably why we're faring better against them. And on the northern corner of the island, we have successfully taken one of our bases here. The Japanese do still have, it looks like, a minimally supplied generating base here on the western corner. I'm not sure if that'll be enough to keep this engineer unit in supply or not, but we're starting to see some success. We're going to land our armor here, and then hopefully we can race up the coast and start destroying Japanese forces more readily. Keep our fighters here, attempt to keep them in close for support. I don't know why I have my carrier all the way down here. Not doing much. Still waiting for the Japanese air attack that I feel like probably should come. Japanese units are still pretty effective in combat when they're out of supply. Here you can see they're attacking this infantry unit of ours. And it looks like they still have artillery. The interesting thing is I wonder if, like, being out of supply, you could still resist with your infantry because small arms ammo is easier to scrounge together. In addition, you still have, you know, edge weapons that you could use. But I wonder if it wouldn't make sense, as you can see here, a Japanese recon plane has flown into the area. I wonder if it wouldn't make sense to limit the ability of artillery to fire if it's low on ammo. Now, maybe you can still use a fire point and you just, you know, you don't, I don't really know. Maybe you let them shoot, but you don't let them do any damage. That's an option, I suppose. Looks like these guys are going to take a while to reduce here. Still, despite being out of ammo, they're doing more damage to our infantry than our infantry are doing to theirs. I'm trying to get these guys kind of refit and out of these suppressed states. These orange numbers mean that they're basically suppressed or disorganized and ineffective, to say the least. So there we go. We just took that base. We're going to land this armor here. And starting to reduce Tuilagi. We've taken 2 of the Japanese bases here. And I think we just destroyed these Japanese engineers. Yes, we did. Okay, excellent. We've got our armor ashore. Enemy float plane. I'm not sure if that's just recon. If it is, that means they'll probably have an air attack incoming soon, so we got to get our fighters back. Our armor hopefully should help us reduce that enemy bunker. That's one thing that armor was very good for in the Pacific. You don't think of the Pacific conflict as being a conflict where, you know, tanks were roaming around and doing much of anything, but they actually did have a pretty sizable role in the island hopping campaign in helping to reduce fixed Japanese positions. So on these islands, the Japanese had a lot of dug-in and fortified positions that armor was able to, you know, help reduce. So there certainly was a use for armor on these islands, in this island hopping campaign. Okay. There we go, steadily reducing combined arms, reducing these bunkers. So basically our tanks are firing at the bunker, maybe pinning them down. Our engineers and marines are moving in and helping to finish them off. And again, you see a much more effective combined attack against these forces. Now, I don't know if it's a full-fledged air attack or if it's just a recon plane, because again, we're by a Japanese float plane base. These Japanese islands had like 9 or 10 float zeros. I don't think they had much in the way of airstrike capabilities. But the Japanese did launch airstrikes during the Guadalcanal from Rabaul, which is over 800 miles away. So maybe that's what they're going to be, you know, basically spotting for. Hopefully not. Okay. Interesting that the enemy retreated to the east here. Being out of supply, they're retreating into more open ground, which should make it easier for us to attack them. Their artillery keeps playing a nuisance, but they're not really doing any damage, probably because they're out of supply. We didn't destroy the enemy float plane in 9 turns. Something. Enemy reconnaissance planes have managed to transmit detailed reports about our attack to the Japanese Air Command. And fleet support. Navy has sent a flotilla of destroyers to provide fire support against enemy defenses. So we have destroyers that are incoming that we can use against these fixed positions. On the other side, given the enemy recon has spotted our attack, that probably means those land-based bombers that I was just talking about from Rabaul, the G3 Nels and G4 Bettys, GM4, GM3s, are going to be en route before too long. Okay, see, we drove those Japanese troops back. And we're trying to reduce these stupid, out-of-supply Japanese troops, but not succeeding. It's just taking forever. Okay. So we just destroyed that enemy unit. So having some success, although slowly. Are we pushing back enemy forces here? I'm just worried that the enemy attacks our supply ships here on the northern end near Tuilagi, because if they do that, we could be in some trouble. We don't have a whole lot of fighter support. I can call some in. I can purchase some, I think. So I might do that. Let's go ahead and purchase some fighters. I don't want to buy... I don't have enough money. Damn. Alright, well. Our F4F Wildcat squadron is going to have to be enough. Hopefully it is. If it's just Bettys, it will be enough, because the Betty is basically, I think they call them like flying matchsticks, basically. Just like other Japanese forces, they didn't have self-sealing fuel tanks, so that meant if you hit an enemy aircraft in the fuel tank with incendiary weapons, they basically burst into flames. But with that being said, if they have Japanese Zero escorts, those are far superior to our own fighter aircraft, so that could be a little bit difficult. Now, the interesting thing is that a lot of times the Japanese Zeros didn't perform as well in the Guadalcanal campaign because they were flying from so far away. I mean, you basically had a 1,000-mile flight each way, and that really limited the ability of a pilot to have any kind of real endurance. If you imagine, you know, flying from 5 hours one way and then having to fight and then fly home, it was an exhausting experience. Okay. Just trying to reduce this enemy anti-aircraft gun so we can safely advance further down the island and reduce... There's still a lot of Japanese bases here. There's a prison over here. We're supposed to win by 30 turns. Okay. I hope the quality on this video is okay. I just got a random warning from my computer saying that there was a high degree of CPU usage that was occurring, so I'm a little bit worried that maybe the computer's not holding up to the strain of recording and playing at the same time. I don't generally have these kind of problems, but just keep that in mind, because I just saw that warning pop up on my recording software, which I haven't really ever seen before. So if the video does look blurry or distorted, I'm sorry. I'll do what I can to try and clean it up after the fact. Try not to get these guys too strung out. I'm taking a risk with these Marines. They may get cut off, but I can always move these supply ships over to support them if need be, over to this end to take this other Japanese victory location. Land my fighters. Still waiting for the Japanese air attack to come. I'm sure it will. I just don't know when. Troops are really getting disorganized due to this terrain. You can see they're kind of losing some efficiency. Their colors are steadily turning. I'm hoping these destroyers are going to help us reduce the enemy forts, but again, they're just putting such a stubborn resistance up. It's really kind of annoying. Got another bunker over here. Need to speed our tank in, but again, even this tank is disorganized. Looks like this base is unarmed. I didn't want to race in and get it destroyed, but it looks to be unarmed. Let's see here. Again, warning high encoding CPU usage. Consider changing. So again, this could be intermittently blurry, and if that's the case, I apologize, guys. I may need to look at my computer. Maybe it needs to be cleaned out or something. I'm not sure. take that base. Oh, there is a bunker. We don't really need to worry about that bunker, though, to be honest, because the bunker's stationary, so we can just pull out, and it can't move back in to take that location. So I'm okay with that strategy. I think that is what we'll do. It'll probably take some casualties next turn, but whatever, no big deal. Steadily bombarding in an attempt to reduce the enemy. In about 30 minutes, guys, I'm going to see, this may end up being one video. I may, oh shit, Japanese aircraft. I may consolidate it. I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to do. So I may keep it as one video, or I may break it apart. I know there's been a lot of talking. It's just been kind of playing through the scenario and seeing kind of what it's like. It's a very different focus, but I'm interested to compare it to the American campaign for the base game, because I haven't played that really. KI-43, so that's a Japanese Army aircraft. We'll sail the ship this way, and then we'll get the fighters off the ground. That's actually a Japanese fighter, though, so... Just die already. There you go. Okay. So that unit's destroyed. Now we just need to reduce these two other spots on this island, and that one's done. But now we've got the much larger Tuilagi island to deal with. Looks like the enemy has machine gun posts all over this island. And we're pulling these out because the machine gun can't retake that territory. Okay. Okay, the enemy continues to bombard. My computer continues to decide whether it's going to die on me or not. I got a very high quality CPU, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on yet, but... Okay, so there's a lot of Japanese troops down here. On this corner of the map here, this is going to be a big fight. We may have to pull our destroyers off these other islands. Sail them around this way to provide some fire support. We can't really do much more with our infantry, though, because there's not enough room to really do anything. So we'll send the infantry on the northern end. This is too narrow to really do much of anything. And then we'll use the destroyers to bombard. Meanwhile, we'll get our fighter in action to try and come save the day against Japanese airstrikes. I think that about does it for this turn. Yep. So we're about halfway to, or a little bit more than halfway to the victory point in terms of getting a major victory by winning with just within 30 turns. I don't think we're going to get there based on... This has kind of turned into a slog, which is good in that it represents the way a lot of the Pacific fighting was, although I'm not sure if it's really the way the fighting was on Tuilagi. I don't know a ton about the Guadalcanal campaign, although I've been endeavoring to find more out. I've been reading Ian Toll, I think it's Ian Toll, something Toll's series on the Pacific War. I read Pacific Crucible, which deals with the up to Midway. I started the book that looks at the Guadalcanal and sort of Central Pacific sort of time frame, but I haven't really gotten too far into it yet. So I don't remember all of the details behind it. I think we may have put too heavy a concentration of forces on this island here to the south. Okay. These guys are getting a little less disrupted. Again, we need to get rid of these Japanese bunkers. They're just clogging up everything. I could have more forces, but I can't even replace my current losses adequately. I mean, I could bring in green troops, but then I just feed in more to the Japanese advantage as it is. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. Just let these guys rest until the armor's freed up. Let the armor deal with this base up here, then we'll race them north and hopefully use our destroyers to dig out the enemy in their bunkers. These Marines are really good at dealing with Japanese fixed fortifications, it looks like. I don't have any reserves, so hopefully that aircraft is able to deal with those Ki-43s. The Ki-43, I think, is the Oscar, I think. And that was almost as maneuverable as the Zero, which is funny because it doesn't get a lot of the talk when it comes to World War II air war. And despite being almost as maneuverable as the Zero and being actually the most successful Japanese aircraft during World War II in terms of total number of aircraft shot down, it doesn't get nearly the same publicity as the Zero. That being said, it was more lightly armed than the Zero, so it wasn't quite as dangerous to U.S. aircraft in terms of its lethality, but it was, like I said, just as maneuverable, so that means that it was really able to do a lot of things that the American aircraft couldn't, so it was hard for the U.S. to destroy, but maybe a little more forgiving to fight against. Mortar barrage. Lay down suppressive mortar fire on an enemy unit. I didn't know we could do that! So I was hoping to get through this video quickly. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. So I think what I'm going to do, given the fact that it certainly seems unlikely that we will finish this video in any kind of reasonable time, is I'll break this first impressions basically up into two parts, and we'll pick up and see the final battle. I'm not sure if you guys are interested in doing a whole series on just U.S. Marines, but it's an additional expansion, as I said, for Order of Battle Pacific. Just came out recently, a couple weeks ago. I've been really busy with school. I'm actually looking at moving. My wife just got a great job opportunity, so we're going to be moving for that. And everything within like a 2-week period, so everything's kind of hectic. So I haven't had a whole lot of time to be playing and talking and all of that. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll try and get more content out. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.